Hello, everyone, and welcome to the webinar, Accounting for Agriculture in the Cloud, which is taking place during Xero Education Month here for 2021. And we're presented in partnership today with our friends from Figured. Now, whether this is your first webinar you've attended during Education Month or your 20th, I'm really glad you decided to join us here today on our webinar. Now, it's really great to see so many familiar names on the attendance list as you all rolled in, ones that I've had a chance to work with directly, and also really exciting to see a whole host of new names that I really do hope to work with in the future. So in our 45-minute session today, we're going to be exploring the powerful cloud solution that Xero and Figured brings to the entire farming team. We're going to start out with some introductions to the team we have on the call today. We'll then take a look into the agricultural space in Canada as it relates to a variety of factors. After getting that lay of the land, we'll jump into the Xero and Figured solution by exploring the workflow and diving into a great live demo of the products. And finally, we'll wrap up the session with how we can bring everyone together and what steps you can take to further your Ag Cloud champion status. So let's go ahead and get started with meeting the team. My name is Jordan Vos, and I'm a Partner Success Manager here at Xero. Now, in my role, I have the opportunity to work with our national partners across Canada to make their journey to the cloud a beautiful experience. I'm joining you all today from my home in Calgary, Alberta, which is just a stone's throw away from some of Canada's thriving agricultural operations. Now, born and raised a city boy, it wasn't until my jump to Xero as an escaped accountant that I realized how complex the needs are and how unique they are in order to keep the books balanced on a farm. And as I've gone down this journey, I've developed a deep respect for the work that not only our Canadian farmers do, but those that support them to do their very best work every day. Now, joining me on the call today, I have a fellow Partner Success Manager, and I'd like to pass it over to Alexandra for a quick intro.
Thank you so much, Jordan. Hi, everyone. It's great to meet y'all. My name is Alexandra Henley, and as Jordan mentioned, I'm the Partner Success Manager for Figured in North America. And it's a privilege to be with you today. I work closely with all of our partners and also our farmers to really get a good understanding of their business needs and how we could get them set up best for success. Thanks, Jordan. Back to you.
Thanks, Alex. And once again, I'm really glad to have you join us here at Xero today, as we're really building on an exciting legacy that we've developed in other markets around the world. So it's really cool to see this coming to Canada as well. Now, off camera and behind the keyboards today, we have a few more Xeros on the line, as well as people from Figured. So from Xero, we have Paul Churchman, who's the Director of Enterprise here at Xero. And from Figured, we have Rachel Slade, who's the Sales Director for North America. Now, you may have noticed that you've all been muted for this webinar. However, we would still love to hear from you. So we really encourage you to tap into this knowledge of those two and submit any questions through the Q&A feature located on the Zoom menu at the bottom, and Rachel or Paul will respond. Now, with introductions and housekeeping out of the way, let's go ahead and jump into our presentation. So here at Xero, we love data, and especially being able to take that data and make it meaningful to our partners and the businesses they serve. Now, back in March of this year, we set out to do some research on the different industries we serve in Canada in order to bring clarity to our partners on how to best serve those clients. Now, knowing your client and the industry at a deeper level will really help drive business and form those lasting business relationships. So I wanted to point out some of the findings that we discovered in our research in regards to the agricultural space in Canada. Now, the first area we looked at was technology adoption in agriculture. And 25% of respondents here are already using cloud accounting solutions, which sits right about at the average across all verticals we researched. Now, of those not using cloud, a staggering 44% are still using spreadsheets or pen and paper to prepare their financial data without any reliance on a traditional accounting platform. Now, these findings illustrate the enormous opportunity that exists to transition these clients to a cloud solution like Xero. When asked what was stopping them from making the jump to the cloud, we heard that both the complexity and lack of trust or security were the top barriers. Well, the good news is that the transition to the cloud doesn't need to be complex. And we routinely see that that initial learning curve can be quick and relatively pain-free. Now, when supported by a Xero partner, what often may feel like a complex change often ends up being less complex with the workflow. And we see that drive for efficiency right from the beginning. I hear it often in my role. What seems like a mountain of a change at first looks much smaller as they scream down the other side at full speed. And I should clarify that that's a joyful scream, not a terrified scream. And they remark how at first glance, they never expected to be so far along in such a short time frame. Now, as for security concerns, this is another common barrier that we see across all industries. And I often find that simply pointing out if clients are already using online banking, chances are they can rest assured in the security of their data, as both Xero and Figured are built with multi-level data encryption and security standards, backed by a whole alphabet soup of standards that match what financial institutions they're already dealing with use. When we take a look at business advisory use, we see here that 43% of the agricultural space are using an accountant, with 17% of them using a bookkeeper. The good news story here is that they're already not choosing to go at it alone with their pen and paper. Instead, they're hoping to rely on experts to guide their business. And as we can see, of those using an expert for their financial needs, the influence that advisor has on their choices, especially when it comes to things like software, is really a trust they're putting in you to provide them in order to get that information to you. Now, on the other hand, we saw that the need for a progressive accountant is not seen as a highly desirable differentiation for agricultural clients. Instead, they favor more traditional firms and ways of doing business. Now, this result is not surprising to see in an industry that's been around for over 12,000 years, but one that we're all working towards changing by being right here in this room. Now, another interesting note that I saw here is that clients in this space reported higher usage of a bank manager for their financial advice than any other vertical, at almost double the rate. Now, when we explored key tasks performed outside of accounting, the resounding answer in the agricultural space was asset management, coming in at 52% compared to the total average of just 26%. Now, this focus on asset management is understandable. Knowing that farming requires plenty of assets, and with that variability of cash flows, it really reinforces the importance of having a robust system in place to tackle the unique operating conditions in agriculture. Farmers are increasingly becoming more interested in diving deep into how their largest assets, their land, their livestock, are performing and how they can really drive the most value over the life cycle. Now, finally, we looked at the personality of our clients, as this is often underutilized in how we approach a relationship. By identifying and respecting the individual nature of each and every client, it's imperative to build that solid and lasting relationship. For this reason, we examined how each vertical describes their personality as a way of priming our partners to think more deeply about the relationship they have with their clients. As you can see in the agricultural space, more say they are efficient, realistic, and down to earth, and fewer say that they're a networker, collaborative, or outgoing. So these insights can really help shift our mindset into the way we work with existing clients and how we market to and attract new clients. Now that we've seen a snapshot of the agricultural industry, let's go ahead and dive into that Xero and Figured solution. So Xero works hand in hand with Figured to provide a complete accounting solution for the agricultural sector. By combining financial data from Xero with up-to-date production information in Figured, you get that accurate view of a farm's financial position at any moment, and it allows for that easy management of a farm's accounts. When there's no confusion about the financial health of the farm, your clients know exactly where they stand, boosting their confidence and empowering you as an advisor to help determine the farm's future. Now, at its core, Xero provides all the tools you need to take care of the numbers, while simplifying those everyday business tasks through automated bank reconciliations, invoicing, expensing, just to name a few of the tools that exist. Now, Xero still remains that source of truth for all financial information related to the farm. Using Xero's built-in analytics, we can unlock those real-time insights for the farm, allowing you to provide high-value advice to the clients. By getting that accurate view of a farm's financial position at any moment in time, we really help make proactive decisions and create a stronger business going forward. By streamlining those manual bookkeeping tasks, we can focus on the data flow, not the data entry. So we reduce that time spent on data capture and entry by using things like HubDoc to get your clients working right from the field. We can then match those transactions automatically with bank feed transactions in Xero to automate that bank reconciliation. Now, farmers have been working remotely long before COVID pushed most of us into those remote environments. So we can collaborate with the whole farming team wherever they're working by inviting all stakeholders into Xero to easily share and collaborate around that same set of up-to-date financial and production information. And finally, we can track the farm's finances with a complete and accurate package of accounting reports that are available anytime and always are up to date. Now, one of my favorite topics to work with partners on is the customization of reports to meet your needs. And I love seeing those pieces click when they realize how easy and powerful this reporting tool really can be. Now, Figured, on the other hand, was designed specifically with Xero in mind. Figured takes the financial data from Xero and provides farmers and their advisors with that real-time production insight into things like tracking, budgeting, and also reporting information. Now, being the world's first platform to provide farmers and their advisors immediate access to this data and insights has created an incredibly valued service to farmers around the world. Now, the transaction flow between Xero and Figured is seamless, allowing you to track that production and link it right back to the financials for real-time analysis. Through the use of things like crop seasons and livestock trackers that we'll look at in a bit here, you can keep track of the profitability and inventory throughout the year, which really leads us to better budgeting and a more flexible analysis to meet the needs of any farm. Now, scenario planning tool, that really helps you model out long-term financial plans and the impact of them, such as buying a new property or expanding the operations. And with its own full suite of powerful reporting, the perfect report is never far from hand. So if you pair this production information driven with Xero's powerful financial reporting engine, you really can keep the whole team constantly updated on almost any metric they desire. Now, the Xero and Figured partnership not only drives value for the farmer, but it also drives value for your practice. You're able to enhance your position as a valued contributor to those financially sustainable farming operations and really become that agri advisor of choice in the community. You can help your clients by solving regulatory financial compliance, people compliance, and budgeting and forecasting needs. With that Xero and Figured solution, you can offer your clients relevant, accurate, and timely advice in a scalable and repeatable way. Now, for the farmer, with everything else that the farmers have to deal with, the last thing they need to do is lose hours in the day to manual data entry and deciphering those complex reports. So by using this solution, we can give clients that up-to-date view of their whole business so they can build a clear strategy for the future and keep doing what they enjoy doing most, which is farming. Now, if we take a look at the workflow in Xero and Figured, we see that that flow of information between Xero and Figured is seamless, like I mentioned earlier. Now, the connection allows for the automated transfer of data from one system to another without missing a beat, and really connecting the two platforms together is very simple and straightforward. Figured first pulls financial information from your Xero account, including things like your chart of accounts, bank account movements, and then it links it in with those livestock and crop reconciliations to automatically update the production tracking and those farm budgets that we spoke about. Now, as you can see from this fairly broad workflow diagram, the flow of information between systems is not a one-way street. Rather, it's built around this concept of ultimate flexibility. So by having the ability to choose what data originates in what system, we can really set up a flow that is fully customizable to the way your client works or the way you want to see things. What we're trying to get at is that there's no need to shoehorn in a process that doesn't make sense for each unique operation that all farms have. Now, with both systems pushing information back and forth, you really do get to keep the farm and financial side of things in balance at all times. Now, we can layer in additional apps such as HubDoc or Ag World into the mix, and then we achieve those really greater levels of efficiency, automation, and insights. Now, it's great to look at this from a slide perspective, but I'd definitely like to pass it over to Alexandra here to take us through a live demo of both products so that we can really visualize what a workflow might look like in practice.
Great, thank you so much, Jordan, for that. So I'm excited to show you guys how Figured and Xero communicate. So I'm going to share my screen with everyone. All right, Jordan, can you please give me a thumbs up if you could see my screen? All right, perfect. So as Jordan mentioned, Figured combines financial planning, production tracking, and management reporting all in a cloud-based platform. And this gives farming teams immediate access to financial information and insights about their farm's performance. Now, before we dive into different workflows, I want everyone attending this webinar to think about three different stages about how Xero and Figured operates together and how we work towards that advisory service. So we're going to focus on the now, the where, and the how. So it's all about understanding the now and what's happening on your client's farm by using crop seasons and livestock trackers to keep track of profitability throughout the year. Advisory is also about working towards the where. With scenarios, you can model out the long-term financial planning of major decisions or changes in your client's business. And you could help them grow their vision with a 5 to 10-year plan. And that leads me to the how. How can we get that plan put into action? By forming a flexible monthly plan and by reviewing actuals from Xero, you could get a better guide with your clients on how to achieve their long-term goals. And according to a recent survey conducted by CPA.com, nearly 2/3 of clients said that the most desirable advisory services they could receive were guidance regarding revenue growth and business modeling, followed by budgeting. So to start this journey, we're going to focus on the now, and that takes me to the operations section in Figured. So I'm just going to click on our trackers tab here. And operation trackers are our way to keep track of different enterprises on your farm. So in this example, we're tracking crops, livestock, and dairy. However, you do have the ability to create customized trackers to meet your client's enterprise needs. So in this example, we're going to jump into our 2020 harvest season. And I'm going to look at what happened with my corn production in the year 2020. So this tracker will capture all of your costs and other income related to the production of this product. It's also going to capture your harvest. And it's also going to capture your crop season area all the way down to a field level. And if we look to the top part of the screen, we're going to see a simple summary of your key performance indicators to help you better analyze your tracker profit and production. So by having a clear understanding of what happened, you could better report to the cost of production for a specific season. And we could drill even further into these numbers. So here I could see that I sold all of my bushels. And by clicking into this number, I could see how that has been broken down. If I sold it, if I used it for feed, or if I used it for seed, or for some reason it was written off. And as we look into this detail, I want to show you an example of a crop sale that we raised in Figured first, and that how it communicates back with Xero. So by looking at those numbers, this took us to our product tracker. And a way to think about our product tracker is a way to view all of your clients' inventory across multiple seasons. So we could easily track the opening quantities, the movements within a calendar year, and what's on hand. And again, I could always drill down into these transactions to really understand our farm management tied to our financials. So by looking at this example, I could see in 2021, I recorded 2 harvests, recorded 8 sales, and 1 transaction that's used for feed. As I go in a little bit further, I'm going to take an example of a crop sale. So one great thing to think about this is there's always that seamless communication with Xero. So we see that the sale has been raised and figured. However, if I click on this hyperlink here, this will take me to the Xero transaction. And what's really great about this too is within Xero, we could even see the history of this entity. I could see that I created the sale from Figured, and then it was received through the Xero API. Now that we've created that sale, we want to understand how does that tie back to our clients' bank feeds. So if I go to the dashboard, I'm going to want to reconcile this item. And you'll notice here the sale that I just showed you in Figured, now back in Xero, has already been paired with a bank transaction using the find and match feature. The find and match feature is a bank reconciliation that helps you find an invoice, bill, or account transaction as a suggested match for a relevant bank statement line. After selecting OK, the transaction is reconciled, and now I've paired my farm management inventory with my actual finances. I'm just going to X out of that and then jump back into Figured. And I'm going to go back to our trackers tab. So now that we have a clear understanding of the now, we've gathered important insights by viewing the outputs with the inputs, such as the sales transactions and all of our costs relative to a season. Now we want to better understand the outputs. So that's going to take me to our crop season summary report. And keep in mind the example that we just showed, the 2020 corn harvest season, we're going to pull up that report for that specific season. So I'm looking at my corn 2020. I'm going to run this report. And this report is extremely valuable because it enables you to look at your tracker profit broken down by the field level. And we could even go further down and expand and understand which direct costs are significant on one field versus another. And this is where you could raise a conversation with your clients, such as, do they renew a lease for a field next year? Or if they should make changes as they're planning for the 2020 season. Now, as Jordan mentioned, it's important to keep in mind that the operations and trackers in Figured are intimately tied to the actual transactions flowing to and from Xero. Figured has the ability to receive actuals created in Xero first, as well as the ability to send actual transactions back to Xero, such as a sale or a cost. So this will offer optimal flexibility to best support your client's business model. To demonstrate the workflow again, I'm now going to jump into a livestock tracker. Within the Figured's livestock tracker, one thing that's really important to track is we want to understand the movements of our stock classes. We want to understand how much we have on hand, if there were any births, if there were purchases, if they moved in and out of stock classes, which is important for valuations, and the same with tracking deaths. You'll notice here that we're tracking the movements in this grid, but we see a little caution sign. And what this is telling me is that there is an unreconciled amount in Xero and Figured. So when I click on the cell, we're going to see the difference. Figured records one number and that there is a value of 1,900 imbalanced in Xero. In order to reconcile this, we could simply import from Xero. So we're taking a transaction that was created in Xero first, and we're simply selecting the import button, and it was pulled through. I could check the numbers, and once I'm confirmed, I could just check off the green box, and we could now see that our quantities are now reconciled with our finances. And again, it's important to always remember that seamless communication with Xero. I could select this hyperlink, and this will take me back to the original invoice created in Xero. So now that we understand the now, next I want to take you to how you could bring more in-depth services to your clients, and that leads us to the scenarios tool. So the scenarios tool in Figured models out a 5 to 10 year plan on an annual basis. And the reason why this is so powerful is that A, it leverages your data that you have already input, including actuals from Xero, and it could be done quickly. So common examples that we hear is, what if your client wants to model out debt? Do you consolidate or do you repay or do you take out a new loan? What if your client is considering purchasing their neighbor's farm? Will it make them more efficient or will it put them in the red? And what if your client decides to change their enterprise? Is it going to be more profitable or less than the past? So to give you an example of this, I built out a 2022 farm expansion plan, and you could create as many scenarios as you would like. So when I click into the scenario, we're going to have 4 main components in order to model out this 5 to 10 year plan. And you start with the opening position. The opening position gives you a good view of your client's assets and liabilities. Once we're content with that, we're going to move to our proposition. Now, the proposition is where we're modeling out what your client's state could look like or their vision over X amount of years. And in this example, because I want to expand my property, I could click into my new rural property. I could update the purchase date, reassess the value, If there are any reevaluations or sales, we could easily input that. And the great thing about scenarios is that you could keep them as high level as you would like, or you could get into a very intimate level of detail, depending on the model that you're looking to predict. Once we're content with our proposition, you also have the ability to go into the system and update income items or expense items. So here we can look at our crop or corn inventory, and then we could really break it down into important categories for farming clients, such as areas planted, yield, total amount grown, and create a spread across a long-term duration. Once we're content with our plan, you'll be able to look at a suite of reports. And as I jump into these reports, it's important to note that we not only have a 5-year cash flow summary, but we also have a profit and loss and a balance sheet. And this is extremely valuable. So when you're meeting with your clients, you're able to offer them that advisory service and to walk through where they want to go in the future. And this is a good starting point to get them there. And the one thing about scenarios is it only takes 10 to 15 minutes to create. And then with this report in mind, that will take you into the next section, which is, well, how do we get there? We know where we want to be in 5 years, but that's going to require a decent amount of planning and budgeting. So that's going to take us next to the next stage of Figured, which is planning. So we have a clear understanding of the now, and that's what's happening on your client's farm. And we modeled out a vision of the where your clients want to be within 5 years. So now we're at the how. How do we get there? So you'll notice here, this is what Figured calls as our planning grid. And it pulls in all of our actual bank transactions coming in from Xero, which is updated on a daily basis. And it also enables you to plan, or in Figured term, we like to call it forecasting. You'll notice here again that seamless connectivity with Xero. All of these transactions and numbers that are linked to different account types can be tied back into Xero. So if you ever need to check something, or if you're working with the farming team, we could easily jump back and forth between both systems. So because we are about to wrap the 2021 year, we're going to notice that a lot of this has actually occurred. We have about a month left of planning, but now we're starting to think about how are we going to set up our clients' success for 2022. So we would just navigate to the upcoming year. And I did that by using what we call our global date selector that really indicates what type of transactions that you're looking at, both on the Figured side and the Xero side. So here we can see there are already some planned out numbers in these cells. If you're just starting your planning, a very easy tool that we could use in Figured is to import your actuals. And we could import our actuals from last year, or use a snapshot or a file. And this could be a starting template for your planning. Now, I just referenced a snapshot. What a snapshot enables you to do in Figured is to capture all of this data that you've stored, and then it will save it as a CSV file in your Figured account. And again, because this is a part of a cloud-based system, you could always access that historical file and then use it as a point of comparison when you're looking at all of your reports. So just like Xero's highly customizable reporting engine, the Figured Report Center is where users can quickly and easily produce detailed financial, production, and tracker reports. To highlight one of our reports in particular, we're going to take a look at our statement of financial position. And this brings me to the last section of Figured. So the statement of financial position enables farmers and their advisors to quickly and accurately understand the farm's equity position at any point in time. With this report, you can model out the impact of an investment in Figured, underpinned by Xero's actuals. This highlights the impact, both positive or negative, of these changes to a business and its shareholders. So in this example, we could see actuals that are being pulled through from Xero. However, now we want to model out this report a bit more. So if I want to look at my asset account, which could be my farmland, I may want to set up a revaluation against this and then save the report. Once we're content with the report, another powerful tool is that you're able to share this with the farming team. Again, tying in farm management with financials is a team and collaborative effort. So we have the ability to save different reports in Figured. And once a report is saved, we could even go in a step further and make some comments. And by having this ability, you have one singular sector as a source of truth, again, tied with what's actually happening on the farm from Xero and then modeled out within Figured. So this is another way that Figured and Xero are empowering advisors to help their clients run better farming businesses and to improve the quality of their financial decisions overall. And that concludes the demo portion of Figured and Xero. Back to you, Jordan.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Alex. I'm just going to flip back to my presentation here. And I'll just get that thumbs up that it's all good on your side, Alex. Perfect. Well, thank you so much for that great demo. It's really exciting to see that powerful combination of the world's most beautiful accounting platform and really that best in breed agricultural planning tool. I have to admit, even after seeing that demo multiple times as we rehearsed this webinar, and I've worked in both products with various partners, I'm still really blown away by the level of insight that really comes from layering in Figured onto Xero. I also do need to point out, I love that notion you brought up about framing our thoughts around the now, the where, and the how. And I think that's a great approach to how we can break down the changes we want to make really in anywhere that we're thinking about in our lives, both professional or personal. Now, we've talked a lot today around that idea of bringing the entire farming team together in the cloud. Now, what that looks like for the on-farm teams is it's the combination of the only farm accounting software that allows the farming team to collaborate around that same data in real time from wherever they're working. For the clients, budgeting becomes easier and always up to date with the data coming in from the source of financial truth, being Xero. And when decisions on the farm need to be made, they're supported by the most current information, which really makes those decisions timely. Now, for you, the advisor, this combo really streamlines compliance work by cutting down data entry time and really allows you to lift that value of your service for the client. And finally, for the ag bankers, this is an expert our research has shown to be trusted by agricultural clients, and the data provided by both systems really helps to secure that lending to manage and grow the farming operations for years to come. Really shows that together, Xero and Figured offers that complete solution for staying on top of the farm's operations and allows the team to plan for the future with confidence. Now, as we wrap up on our presentation today, I did want to leave you with some next steps you can take to really further become a cloud champion in your continuous pursuit of making life better for the clients you serve. Now, the first step we see here is to get certified. Now, both Xero and Figured certification ensures that you get the most out of the platforms as you serve the clients. Xero Advisor certification, of course, is designed to give you that knowledge and skills to get the most out of Xero's features. You can complete that online, you can join a webinar, or there's always that fast track assessment to take. The Figured certification is a program that spans all the different parts of Figured to ensure you really have that knowledge to leverage that really powerful tool for your clients. Now, both Xero and Figured also have dedicated resource centers available to our partners to support them at every step of the journey. Now, these are great places to find anything from promoting your services to clients or managing and working with the products in a day-to-day capacity. And finally, I want to encourage you all to get out there and talk to your clients. Having a conversation over a coffee, be it virtual or in person, will really help dig down into your clients' needs and uncover that why. Now, one of my favorite parts of my job here at Xero is hearing the impact that our partners have on the life of small business owners. So I really want to push and encourage you out there to keep creating those stories for me that bring me to work every day. Now, to help spark these conversations, we're going to be sharing out some resources, including a one-page resource that you can share directly with your clients on the overview of Xero and Figured. And it also includes an email template that you can use to reach out directly to them. Now, in addition to these client-facing resources, we're also going to share out a partner toolkit that we've created that covers much of the content that we talked about today. And we're also going to include a farming chart of accounts that's all set up with everything you need to link to Figured so you can get started to work with those clients quickly. Now, we're going to put a link to these resources in the chat here but they will also be included in a follow-up email that everyone here will receive today, along with a recording of today's session. And I think by taking these steps, it'll really put you further down the path of becoming that trailblazer in accounting for cloud for all your agriculture clients. And as always, Xero is here to support. So please don't hesitate to reach out to your account manager or any other Xero that you know, and we'd be glad to help you get the most out of both tools. Now, before we wrap up, of course, I just have a few more items that I need to plug here. Now, first off, as most of you have heard, XeroCon will be back in 2022. So those of you that are not familiar with XeroCon, it's sometimes referred to as Coachella for accountants, which I think sums it up pretty well. But it is that annual conference, and it's a real great time to get together with the Xero community, connect, learn from each other. And since it's been on pause for a few years due to COVID, we're really excited to be resuming in New Orleans in May of next year. I've already started talking to some partners about how much fun we're going to have, and we definitely love to have you join us. Now, additionally, we got a cool new podcast that just came out, which features our CEO as he chats with founders and entrepreneurs about their journey to success. And it's called What Led You Here. So a new episode of this podcast drops every 2 weeks and is available on all the popular podcast platforms. Finally, we of course have a promo running for Education Month that you and your clients can take advantage of. So as you can see on the screen here, it's 50% off for 3 months on a new business subscription to Xero, and it is available for you to use through December 18th. I'll just leave it up on the screen here for a second so you can grab those details, and I'll also have someone pop it in the chat there for you. And with that, it does actually bring us to the end of the webinar. I really want to thank everyone for joining us today as we explored the accounting for agriculture in the cloud with Xero and Figured. Please do reach out if you have any questions, and take care and enjoy the rest of your day.